The Navy said a Soviet torpedo sank the USS Scorpion. 56 years later, the wreck tells a completely different story. On May 22, 1968, a nuclear submarine carrying 99 men vanished in the Atlantic Ocean. The official story was clean, dramatic, and totally wrong. The USS Scorpion, a skipjack-class attack submarine bristling with classified intelligence, was supposedly destroyed by a Soviet anti-ship missile, the first time in history a submarine had been deliberately sunk by an enemy during peacetime. That narrative held for decades. But here's what the Navy didn't tell you. They were looking at the wreck, and they still got it wrong. Let me walk you through the accepted explanation first, because it's important you understand exactly what we all believed. In May 1968, the Scorpion was returning from a classified surveillance mission off the Soviet coast, monitoring naval movements, intercepting communications, the usual Cold War chess match. She was due in Norfolk on May 27th. She never arrived. The Navy's initial search turned up nothing. But then, using a secret underwater listening system called SOSUS, sound surveillance under the sea, they detected what they believed was the Scorpion's death cry, a distinctive acoustic signature at a specific moment in early May. The analysis suggested an explosion. The timing, the location, the geopolitics, all of it pointed to the Soviets. A Soviet submarine, they concluded, had fired on us. This accusation nearly triggered a diplomatic crisis. The United States Navy was suggesting the Soviets had committed an act of war during peacetime. Cooler heads prevailed barely, and the incident was quietly compartmentalized. But the story became canon. Every history book, every documentary, every Cold War retrospective repeated it. The Soviets sank the Scorpion. Except there's a problem with this story. It's very tidy, too tidy. And in 1968, when the Navy was under enormous pressure to explain a nuclear submarine loss, tidy explanations were politically useful. But the physical evidence, this telegram right here, so to speak, tells us something else entirely. In 1985, the Navy finally located the Scorpion's wreck on the ocean floor, about 400 miles southwest of the Azores. What they found was catastrophic, but not in the way the official story suggested. The submarine wasn't blown apart by an external explosion. The damage pattern was internal. The hull had imploded. An implosion happens when a submarine goes too deep, beyond its crushed depth. The pressure outside becomes so great that the hull simply collapses inward. It's not a weapon's signature. It's a mechanical failure, and the Scorpion, according to the wreck analysis, had been driven down to depths that should have been fatal. But here's where it gets interesting. How does a submarine end up at crushed depth? The Scorpion's propulsion systems were found intact. Her rudder was in a hard left position, suggesting she'd been maneuvering deliberately, not drifting helplessly. This wasn't an accident. This was a controlled descent into the abyss. The leading theory now, one that's been circulating among submarine engineers and naval historians for years, though it's still not officially confirmed, is a catastrophic mechanical failure in her steering system. The Scorpion may have gotten stuck in a hard left turn, unable to correct course, spiraling downward until the pressure became too much. There's another possibility, one that surfaces in declassified reports. The Scorpion may have collided with a Soviet submarine during her surveillance mission, not a deliberate attack but a collision. She was damaged, her systems compromised, and she was limping home when her steering gave out. Both vessels would have had every reason to keep silent about it. What's crucial here is what we don't know. The wreck's condition after decades on the ocean floor makes definitive analysis nearly impossible. The Navy has never released a complete technical investigation, and neither the United States nor the Soviet Union has any incentive to explain what really happened. A collision would have been a scandal. An accident would have raised questions about submarine safety. A Soviet attack, though false, was politically simpler. The Scorpion's loss teaches us something uncomfortable about Cold War history. The story we're told isn't always the story that happened. It's often the story that was easiest to live with. 99 men died in the Atlantic, and we still don't know why. We have theories, we have evidence, we have wreckage, but the official truth remains locked away. The real story of the USS Scorpion isn't about a Soviet missile or a dramatic act of war. It's about the gap between what we're told and what we can verify. It's about how institutional pressure, geopolitical convenience, and the fog of the deep ocean can conspire to bury the truth. And it's about 99 families who deserved better than a comfortable lie. If you're hungry for more Cold War cases where the official story crumbles under scrutiny, where declassified documents contradict decades of accepted history, subscribe. There's a new unsolved case every week, and some of them are far stranger than you'd expect. Subscribe, there's a new unsolved case every week, and some of them are far stranger than you'd expect.